Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Auditorium of Violence. Please remember, this is the home of data, facts, and figures and intellectual bass boosts. Congratulations, obedience, and every single one of you that comes to this platform. We have created what I would like to call the greatest Twitter space on record. Today's topic, the hypocrisy of Nigerian religious leaders, is a vast issue. As Jimmy said, 30 minutes plus of pure data. And you can see that he hasn't even scratched the surface of the hypocrisy that is the Nigerian religious leaders. So let me do something even worse. As Saddam would say, if you have high blood pressure, if you know that your head cannot collect some things, go and take your medication and wear your helmet. Because where we are going to go is a journey. But I want you to realize my submission is both for the Muslims and for the Christians. In everything I will read to you today, there is no part of it I am telling you church is bad. There is no part of it I am telling you become an atheist. There is no part of it I would demonize Christianity or Islam. But all I will make you understand is you too are worthy before the throne of grace, as worthy of God's love, God's respect, and God's miracles as your GOs. Always remember, Namumu, they believe Nigerian GOs. Let's start here. If you're a Christian, there are a few Bible verses that should actually give you a lot of joy. One of them is this one, Ephesians 4:15. Speak the truth in love. We are to grow up in all aspects into him who is the head, even Christ. Zechariah 8:16. These are the things which you should do. Speak the truth to one another. Judge with truth and judgment for peace in your gates. Ephesians 4:25. Therefore, lay aside falsehoods. Speak truth, each one of you with his neighbor, for we are members of one another. Proverbs 12:17. He who speaks truth tells what is right, but a false witness causes deceit. Psalm 15 verse 2. He who walks with integrity and works righteousness and speaks truth in his heart is a delight to the Lord. You see, why am I reading all of this to you? Every religion respects one set of people. They respect the people who speak the truth. Job 33:3 said, my words are from the uprightness of my heart, and my lips speak truth and knowledge sincerely. Just in case you're wondering, is it only the Bible that speaks about truth? What of the Quran? Does the Quran say anything on truth? Yes, it does. It's an amazing book as well. And I tell people that everybody should read both books, no matter what your religion is. So let us start here with some beautiful surahs of the believers that are men who are true to the covenant which they made with Allah, God. So of them is he who accomplished his vow, and of them is he who yet waits, and they have not changed in the least. That is the Surah Azab 33:23 from the Holy Book. Another one, whoever obeys Allah and his prophet, peace be upon him, those are with those upon whom Allah has bestowed favors from among the prophets, and the truthful, and the martyrs, and the good, and a goodly company are they. They are a delight before Allah. Surah Nisa 4:69. The truthful, they are whom Allah bestows favors. Surah Maryam 19:58. Whoever obeys Allah and the apostle, peace be upon him. These are with whom upon Allah has bestowed favors from among the prophets, and the truthful, and the martyrs, and the good, and the goodly company. You need to understand that the truth is respected in every single religion, way of life, as long as humans are involved. What happened with Nigeria? The truth came to Nigeria and died. We have a country where a man cannot tell the truth about his certificates, and a lie needs another lie to cover it up. One lie about your admission needs a lie about the school clerk, needs another lie about, before you know it, you are using lawyers to defend something as simple as a certificate, which all of us have in our houses so long as you're a graduate. Why am I leading you down the path of truth? Remember, the Bible says righteousness exalts a nation. Nigeria lost righteousness a long time ago. So, I'll also take you to where Jimmy took you. Nigerians, as Christians, have forgotten something. They have played you the same propaganda game they played the Muslims, aka you don't have the right to condemn a man of God. I need you to understand that every single apostle of Jesus died a horrible death. I need you to understand that the prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was in battles all through his life. Nothing came easy to these men. But you wake up today and you have created gods of men who are millionaires multiple times in dollars, and you tell yourself that these men are the men that will lead you to righteousness, when Jesus himself told you that it will be difficult, it will be easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter heaven. Jesus himself said it will be easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter heaven. But your pastors are wealthy and you are following these men. Are you not mad? You, the Nigerian, are you not crazy? Are you sure there is something not wrong with your thinking faculty? You have been so hoodwinked that a book with literally a few pages, you cannot memorize it. But every Sunday you will go and listen to somebody who is dumber than you, least smarter than you, less technologically savvy, less aware of what is going on in the world, tell you about the kingdom of heaven. Let us at least admit as Nigerians where our men of God had their flaws and where we as a people have been idiots for a very long time. But that mythology ends today. Remember, the Bible has also told you, Matthew 7:15-20, watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. By their fruits you recognize them. Do people pick grapes from the thorns or figs from thistles? Again, the Bible will also tell you, an elder must be blameless, faithful to his wife, a man whose children believe and are not open to the charge of being wild and disobedient. Since an overseer manages God's household, he must be blameless, not overbearing, not quick-tempered, not given to drunkenness, not violent, not pursuing dishonest gain. Titus 16, verse 6 and verse 7. I said I had to go through the Bible to find where the word overseer was. Let me read it for you again as a Christian. A lot of you don't even know. If they ask you as a Nigerian, is Titus in the Bible? Some of you know Titus sardine, but many of you don't know that there's a book of Titus in the Bible. Titus 1, 6 and 7. An elder must be blameless, faithful to his wife, a man whose children believe and are not open to the charge of being wild and disobedient. Adeboye is not blameless. Oyakilome was not faithful to his wife. Adeboye's son, Leke Adeboye, is wild and disobedient. Verse 7, since an overseer manages God's household, he must be blameless. Every 99.9% of Nigerian overseers are all full of blame. They must not be quick-tempered. You see them flashing their tempers, arresting people. You say something about pastor will pick you up with DSS, transport you to Abuja. They must not be given to drunkenness. You see some Nigerian pastors, the kind of things they say, you can, I bet you if you do a toxicology report, he snorted at least 4 lines of cocaine and a bag of crack at the back end before you hear certain sermons. Not pursuing dishonest gain. Not pursuing dishonest gain. Which pastor that owns a university, that owns a private jet in this country, did not pursue dishonest gain? And we are here playing games. I will flog the imams as well. But until you show me a Nigerian imam, top 20 imams, till you show me 20 imams with the list of them being worth 20 million United States dollars, I promise you that the Nigerian Christian and the Nigerian Christianity Foundation has a larger problem with what is going on in this country. The Nigerian Christian and the Nigerian Christian Foundation has a larger problem with what is going on in this country. Islam probably has 10 to 15%. It is a deadly 10 to 15%. It is loud, it is bloodshedding, but the mischief and the way lives are lost to the illiteracy being pushed around by Nigerian general overseers, we've probably lost more lives to the illiteracies. To Jehovah Witness telling you cannot do blood transfusion, we have probably lost more lives to that nonsense than terrorism. To Lazarus Morgan promotion of poverty, we've probably lost more lives. To W.F. Kumuyi and his poverty mentality and telling people that sickness was of God, don't need to treat yourself. For more than 6 decades unhinged, we have probably lost more lives to deeper life than to terrorism. I beat my chest and tell you that. You wake up in the morning. If you challenge Nigerians and tell them, get up by 7 a.m. There is a woman that does workouts on Instagram, Nigerian girl, 7 a.m. every morning. Now 22 people, they watch the girl. 22 people. But a pastor, 7 a.m. in the morning, 30-something thousand viewers on Instagram, 240,000 on YouTube. Everybody, please, I beg you, Nigerians. On the back end, you are mute. Just try this. Do you know the amount of cardio you do? The amount of cardio. But if I tell you, Nigerians, to go and walk out, 25,000 of you every morning, 7 a.m. If you do that religiously for 1 year, we will have 25,000 fit, mentally balanced, body nutrition wise, smart and intelligent decision making Nigerians. But you don't want that. You want 25,000 brainwashed dimwits. 7 a.m. religiously. There are many of you women, many of you men here who are religiously following these people 7 a.m. but you have not been to the fucking gym in 10 years. You can wake up and disturb the host of heaven before God has had breakfast. You're at his door by the tens of thousands, disturbing the pearly gates. When he has laid the earth bare before you. Work out and be fit. And you probably live to 80 or 90. Anything you don't achieve at 40, you might do it at 60. There's no better gift God can give you on this earth than time and good health. 7 a.m. foolery every morning. Let's go back to data and figures. I love the Bible. It answers a lot of questions. 2 Peter 2. But there are also false prophets amongst the people, just as there will be false teachers amongst you. They will secretly introduce destructive heresies, even denying the sovereign Lord who brought them, bringing swift destruction to themselves and the people. Many will follow their depraved conduct and will bring the way of truth into disrepute. That is why a pastor would tell you that a man that is fighting with lawyers so that he cannot release something as simple as his documents should be president, bringing the way of truth into disrepute. A bloody liar. In their greed, these teachers will exploit you with fabricated stories. Their condemnation has long been hanging over them, and their destruction has not been sleeping. For if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but sent them to hell, putting these men of God in chains of darkness to be held for judgment, if he did not spare them, he will not spare them. 2 Peter verse 2. Go and read it for yourself. It's in the Bible. Stop playing with yourself. Let's go back to data. The Nigerian pastors that you worship so much, that when they call their names in judgment, you start to tremble and send DMs. Ooh, what God cannot do. Ooh, redeemed. Pastor Chris Oyakhilome, during the height of COVID, acted one of the greatest tomfooleries I've ever seen in my life. We all remembered his COVID 5G mask bullshit. We all remember vaccines are going to be nano chips put into you for the 666. Dummy. Slick-haired dummy. Let me remind you that in our cowardice in Nigeria, the Office of Communication, Ofcom, in the UK Broadcasting Regulation Authority placed a fine of £125,000 on March the 31st, 2021 on Love World Television Network, a station owned by church overseen by Chris Oyakhilome. Why did they do this? They said he exposed viewers to inaccurate and potentially harmful claims about the coronavirus without providing adequate protection for his viewers. The agency noted that this is the second time in a year that the television network would breach the rules on accuracy in news and harm in its coverage of the coronavirus. Looking back at the coronavirus right now, should Chris Oyakhilome have one single fucking person in his church today? After all the nonsense. He was drawing charts, pie charts. 5G. Not be the 5G we they use, they do Twitter spaces today. Not be the 5G they Tesla today. You die. God come. Now one wine Jesus. Should Chris Oyakhilome, after such a dirty prophecy that didn't come through, have one person in his church today? After paying £125,000 fine to the UK? Let me go back again. A lot of you are very young and you might not know this. There was a time in Nigeria in 2004, God bless President Olusegun Obasanjo, one of the biggest sanities that happened in this country was when Olusegun Obasanjo as president forced the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission, under the instructions of the president, to ban the showing of miracles on TV. Most programs had to be taken off air, especially a manual TV of Chris Oyakhilome. As far back as 2004, this mischievous man has been causing problems for this country. Chris Oyakhilome will blow breeze, boom, a whole stadium will fall down, cameraman go still gallant. And nobody was asking questions. As far back as 2004. There was a rule that Buhari was trying to push that if you have been a GO, literally a CEO of a company, for 10 years, you should be forced to hand over. Why should Adeboye be a life owner of Redeemed? How many pastors? They have 11,000 branches in Lagos State alone. Is there no worthy person to continue in that? Is it when he dies, he throws the place into confusion? Which company in the world, every CEO is forced to retire at 70? Which company in the world still has a CEO running into his senile years? Let us also go into some data, because Adeboye is somebody that you really need to look into if you're in Nigeria, to know whether you are deceiving yourself. Let me remind you guys, Pastor Enoch Adeboye in 2022, when he was celebrating his 77-year-old birthday, the pastor shared a story of how he had tea with God during breakfast a long time ago. He shared that story during a church service to boost the faith of his congregation. Remember, these words are not mine. The pastor said, according to him, he was in a lorry, Kwara State, with his wife, and they were both having breakfast when he noticed that the tea finished before it should have. He then heard the voice of God telling him he had invited him to eat with them before they began eating. He said his relationship with God is a special one that is difficult to describe to others. No wahala. No wahala, Enoch. No wahala. All right. Pastor Adeboye also, at one point in his life, there is a beautiful article on Sahara Reporters. Pastor Adeboye, a prophet or an impostor? A candid look at his 2016 prophecies by Ijaba Raymond. And this thing was written January 15, 2016, Sahara Reporters. Pastor Adeboye, a prophet or an impostor? Why? There are so many things this man raised that was beautiful. He raised the fact that why is it that till today Pastor Adeboye built a church on the Lagos-Ibadan motorway? And that church, the situation of that church has caused perennial traffic for people around that area, yet nothing has been done about it. If I say if it was an Igbo pastor now, you people will say that I've started. Till today, there was a time that Nigerians had to go and know when Redeemed was having program before you can pass that road. Okay. Now, Pastor Adeboye always uses mental gimmicks to persuade his members to give him money. In 2016, Pastor Adeboye was reported to have told his members, let me tell you the truth. The only reason we still take offerings from you in Redeemed Christian Church of God is to get you out of poverty. When you give offerings, you are sending your money to heaven. In a few years before 2016, Pastor Adeboye claimed that he drove his car during fuel subsidy crisis from Ore to Lagos and received a thunderous applause from his congregation. I beg of you, there are a lot of things your average Nigerian GO has said in public. If they were said by a regular citizen, that person will currently have a bed in Yaba Psychiatric Hospital. But you allow this nonsense fly around because these are men of God. A man of God is the only title that has nothing attached to it. If you want to be a man of God under the old Orthodox churches, you at least have to study theology. You at least have to go to a Bible college. These crackheads wake up in the morning, formulate a dumbass story, start wearing fancy suits, and tell you that they're pastors. And you are going to believe them.
Sorry, you know,
Who called them?
Now, you know, complete them. He drove that car on empty tank, or not fuel, no, the
empty tank, yes, empty tank. If somebody met you on the road and said, hey bro, do you know, man, God was so good to me, I drove my car empty tank from Ore, Ilorin to Ore to Lagos. Please give me 10 million naira of yours, let me go and invest for you. You go look this person, say, be like, this guy, no, be like, say, he might be a professor of maths, but I'm not sure everything is complete. But if that same person tells you I'm a man of God, and God allowed me to drive my car empty or to Lagos, give me 10 million of your naira as tithes. I'm not even going to give you anything, but I'll pray for you. You will consider it. You are mad. You are mad. Let us go back to data, because data does not lie. Oyakilome is another interesting person, but I will leave him for a minute and go to Kumuyi, another hypocrite. Under normal circumstances, Kumuyi is another person that should have nobody listening to him, attending his churches, or even taking him serious. The amount of mischief, cult-like brainwashing that man engineered upon Nigerians took 2 generations to stamp out, and the arrival of the internet. If not, Kumuyi would have taken a huge part of the Nigerian church and kept them in penury for years. He truly was a prophet of poverty. When the Nigerian scam pastorpreneurs were pushing the prosperity gospel, Kumuyi was actively destroying the middle class, which is the hope of any country, by pushing a poverty doctrine. Such men are dangerous to the body of Christ and should never be listened to and should be spat at when they make prophecies in public. God forbid. How can a man have a history of false prophecies towards the Nigerian government and the Nigerian people 4 consecutive times since 2016? Such a man should never be allowed to speak in the community of Christians. But here we are. Prophet Kumuyi, the gods. There's a beautiful Naira Land Forum column called 5 Old Beliefs of Pastor Kumuyi of Deeper Life, which he later abandoned. Number 1, television. In the early days of Deeper Life Church, television and anything that relates to it was seen as a taboo. Can you imagine how many families that were not allowed to access television, which would technically be the first line of intelligence that a whole generation received before the advent of the internet? We saw Deeper Life people, they were actually dimwits, and we complained. Not this new funky Deeper Life, the old ones, and we complained. The gadget was tagged the box of the devil, the devil's box. Members of the church were strictly warned against TV, video cameras in weddings, and so on. There are people in Deeper Life today that have no pictures of their wedding because Kumuyi told them not to believe in cameras. Now, Deeper Life Bible Church has over 10,000 televisions in their various churches for live transmissions. A hypocrite, a liar, and a false prophet. Video cameras are also being used in every event to televise Kumuyi live. Number 2, doctrine. Be happy when you are sick. In one of the old messages of Pastor Kumuyi, he made mention that saints and Christians should be happy when they are sick because it should be a thing of joy when it's time to cross over to the other side of eternity, heaven. But today, Pastor Kumuyi now prays against death for members of the churches, especially the rich ones, and even organizes monthly programs and crusades against every form of sickness. Number 3, Pastor Kumuyi had an issue with wearing of suits. He never publicly came out to say, but he said he preferred wearing shirts and trousers, and that was majorly his mode of dressing until the early 2000s. Do you remember that there is a prophet in this country of the Celestial Church of Christ who, because the man apparently biologically had large feet and couldn't find shoes, he walked around barefoot and forced an entire sect of people to walk around barefoot till today? Waiting concern that one with Jesus. If you talk, they go say you are condemning Sele. Do you see the amount of madness going on? Building of schools by the church. It was believed that the church the Deeper Life told their people, don't build any university or schools in the past. Members were just to spread the gospel and shine as salt of the world. But today, Deeper Life has many secondary schools, high schools, and a university called Anchor University. Number 5, use of handkerchief in healing. In the late 80s, handkerchiefs was highly used in healing. People were told to buy handkerchiefs. Handkerchiefs was before holy olive oil. If you're a Nigerian Christian, white handkerchief was the hot cake selling out before we started buying olive oil. Kumuyi had issues with handkerchief. Today, Kumuyi, they use handkerchief. Go and check all these things. And a million and other nonsense Kumuyi led people through his Deeper Life ministries. Today, the Lord has exposed him. But how many people died? I have a friend that jackpad all the children, left their father because he was in Deeper Life and was wrecking their lives. They ran to UK and never communicated with that man again. These are the bullshit we have entitled in the name of Christianity. But let me leave Christianity and go to the beautiful religion of Islam. Islam in Nigeria has some really terrible imams. You might not know this, but 2 Islamic clerics from Nigeria sent letters to the United States District Judge handling the fraud trial of Raymond Hushpuppi Abbas, describing the internet sensation as a philanthropist who used his vast fortunes to support poor families, especially Muslims, and executed a lot of Islamic projects. They were Imam Razak Olopede, and his mosque is in Lagos. He stood as a character witness for Hushpuppi, and he's described Hushpuppi as a young and thriving adult with a keen interest for development of his community. The imam said, Hush Puppy is a frequent donator to the mosque I lead, adding that Raymond would usually contribute his part to anything that concerns the mosque. He would offer financial support at every given time when the mosque was holding events. He said Hush Puppy donated to the mosque just like he did when he bought a generator set for the mosque. Google this yourself. I'm not pulling it out of my ass. Nigerian imams tell U.S. court that Hush Puppy provided financial material support to Muslims and poor families. November 5th, 2022. Imams said Hush Puppy built their mosque, bought generator. When you know, say pastor, they mad for this country. Imam said they craze. Kai. Another imam came up again and was begging the lawyers. He said Mr. Abbas was also a huge contributor to their mosque and to all Islamic events in their area, and begged for leniency. And somebody will be going to that mosque today. A mosque different from Bala Blue. If you think that Nigerian pastors are bad, I present to you Nigerian imams. If you think Nigerian pastors are bad, I present to you Nigerian imams. A Kano Sharia court sentenced an imam to jail for 500 million naira fraud in 19th of January 2023. There is another story of an imam that will blow your mind. Let me find it for you. This one, the imam scammed a man of 3 million United States dollars. Follow me to the EFCC page. This will crack you up. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Kaduna Zonal Office, arrested one Malam Imam Abdul Rashid Imam for defrauding one architect Mohammed Dewu to the tune of 3,024,000 United States dollars. Listen carefully. The arrest came as a result of a petition written by the architect who alleged that sometime in October of 2019, the suspect fraudulently collected the money from him, claiming that he, the imam, has the ability to impart Quranic knowledge to him by inserting a complete Quran into his head through the aid of jinns, spirits that he, the imam, was working with. He said that the imam made him purchase several items as follows: 2 bottles of perfumes at 70,000 naira each, 1 bottle of special perfume at 160,000 naira, 1 bottle of perfume for the medicine for his mother's sickness at 550,000 naira, a set of 60 perfumes to activate the Quranic verses that will be implanted into his brain by the power of the spirit at 1.68 million naira, 2 mobile phones, SIM cards, 20,000 naira each, 30 buckets of honey that will enable him transfer the Quranic verses to his brain. He paid the sum of $24,000 at one time in 2019. The suspect also asked the petitioner to pay $120,000 to help him secure money that will be dropped in 2 boxes in his room to also help with this Quran. This, if any Yahoo passed this one, $3 million. Say you go put Quran for person head through the power of the Holy Spirit's jinns. If you meet Architect Dewu today and tell him, Architect Dewu, we have a movement called Vawulence Space, we have a media arm, we have Wala Records, please give us $1 million. Help us to push it. Architect Dewu will not agree. If you tell Architect Dewu today that Architect Dewu, in your village, bring $1 million, let us make sure that all the children will upgrade primary school, Architect Dewu will not agree. But Architect Dewu dropped 3 million United States dollars to buy 70 bottles of special perfume and 30 buckets of honey. If you think Nigerian pastors are bad, I present you Nigerian imams once again. Let me take you to another controversial pastor. He's late today, but his name used to always cause a lot of problems. And he goes by the name of T.B. Joshua. T.B. Joshua in 2016, another terrible false prophet. I say this with no fear or favor. He prophesied that Hillary Clinton would win the elections. When Donald Trump won the elections, VanguardNewspaper.com, November 20th, 2016 says, T.B. Joshua, prayers of Americans reversed my prophecy on the US election. T.B. Joshua said, following his prophecy before the election, some concerned Americans went into deep prayers and fasted, which prompted God to hearken to their voice, thereby reversing Hillary Clinton's win. Only a madman will say this, and only mad people will take him serious. Let me also remind you, Nigerians, because we also are a nation that forgets. But for somebody with a memory like mine, it is painful to actually exist as a Nigerian. Let me remind you that T.B. Joshua was building a church or had a guest house in his synagogue, Church of All Nations. The guest house was built for 2 floors. T.B. Joshua added 4 more floors, 6 floors, and it killed more than 100 people. That matter was so evil that over 80-something South Africans died. Let me remind you that if there was, do you understand that we are going to war in Niger because they took out a president? Imagine if 84 South Africans came to Nigeria on an excursion and were kidnapped by Boko Haram and murdered. We would be at war with South Africa today. But T.B. Joshua added 4 structures to a building. 100, close to 200 people died. 84 South Africans or more, almost 100 South Africans died in that rubble. Their dead bodies were airlifted and sent back to South Africa. And T.B. Joshua denied it. Matter of fact, T.B. Joshua was such a bastard that T.B. Joshua on public record said a plane flew over that building, and that's why that building collapsed. Dear T.B. Joshua, planes have been flying over Ajawa Estate and no building in Ajawa Estate has collapsed. Google these things, let it not be that they are my words. I repeat, anything that would have made 84 South Africans die in any other circumstance that was not religious, Nigeria would have been at war with a nuclear arm owning country. But it was under religion. How that matter blew over till today, I do not know. Another one, Pastor Apostle Suleiman Johnson Suleiman. Sahara reporters said as at 2022-2021, Apostle Suleiman, Nigerians demand probe of Apostle Suleiman's 4 unresolved sex scandals. As at 2021, a Nollywood actress and human rights activist Choma Ifemeludike became the latest woman to claim Suleiman paid her over 500,000 naira and had sex with her. Apostle Johnson Suleiman owns a church called Omega Fire Ministries. Apostle Johnson Suleiman is such a sexual pervert that his nudes are on Google for everybody to search till today. He had sexual liaisons with a young lady called Stella Otobo. He flew her around the world. He made her abort a pregnancy in one of the most wicked ways. He literally gave the young lady poison to drink to die. And that was what caused her vengeance. Apostle Suleiman, as I speak to you, has his dick online, but people still go to that church. Are you not mad? How many GOs have I called for you people now? False prophets, all of them. I remember when Daddy Freeze, my colleague at Cool FM, started his war against tithing. And all the Nigerian GOs had smoke for him. Ooh, he touched the money. But you see them during election, they could not even tell people to get their PVCs. The Nigerian church encourages poverty. No nation progresses without a vibrant middle class. The middle class, let me explain to you. A rich man will give birth to 2 children. They will have 3 cars in their house. There are no aspirations amongst the wealthy. The middle class, in my father's house, there are 5 children. Each of us has a car. So they space no dey the compound, some they park outside. The middle class are the spenders. The middle class want to all carry iPhones. You've seen the rich, you've seen their phones. Simple people. The rich don't want to wear Gucci. But you have the Nigerian church. How do you have a church that pushes a prosperity doctrine, but everything they do pushes the people into poverty? The Nigerian church has pushed the prosperity doctrine for 4 decades, at least 40 years, and we are still number 1 in every poverty index and indices worldwide. And you are still going to church. Last but not the least, do not forget that the same Apostle Johnson Suleiman was attacked by murderers. Please, which pastor has people that want to kill him so bad that they killed 6 people in his convoy, including 4 police operatives and 2 random members of his church? Please, what did you do as a pastor that was so bad that these people sat down with AK-47s and sprayed at your bulletproof car, trying to kill your wife and your 4 children? If you Google pastor, EFCC, back-to-back problem. If you Google imam, EFCC, oh my God, you will weep. There is a story of a pastor helping Yahoo boys. His cut was 15 million naira and a BMW. He went to prison for 3 years. They use pastors in the south. They use Muslims, imams, and the political leaders in the north. Let me remind you of how wicked the northern political leaders are. Some of them are truly devilish. At the height of the subsidy scandal, subsidy issues, the poverty problems in the country, the Kano state government woke up and approved 845 million naira for mass weddings, but turned around and approved 700 million naira for Bayero University student school fees. So the Kano governor is telling you that mass wedding is more important than people to go to school in Kano. Mass wedding. Who won't marry? Come, we go cook rice. Then everybody go marry en mass. 800 and something million. Does that show that governor has his priorities right? And this is how they've been. Google mass wedding, northern Nigeria. What kind of stupid concept is that? Why don't you use that 845 million and upgrade primary and secondary schools? Then use 700 million and upgrade Bayero University students. They will not do that. They want you daft, but keep marrying and keep churning out voters for them. Keep churning them out. Don't care if the lady gets VVS. The hypocrisy of the Nigerian religious leader should come to an end, but it will only come to an end from you, the Nigerian people. You sit down in church. If any Nigerian, once you mention a falsehood to a Nigerian, hey, they will challenge you. But they will sit in church and pastor go throw lamba in a 40-minute sermon, and no Nigerian will raise up his hand and say, I'm sorry, sir, you are wrong. That nonsense ends with the obedient movement. We cannot continue this bullshit. That nonsense of when truth is being sold or being told to a Nigerian religious leader, you start going around telling people, touch not my anointed, hush, hush, maybe we shouldn't call him out. He's an elder. That nonsense should stop immediately. You have been a Christian. If you're on this space, you're at least 20 to 30 years old. You have been a Christian. You have been a Christian. Has God drank Bonvita, Milo, or Nescafe with you? What makes Adeboye more worthy of tea with Jesus? On this entire violence space, you want to tell me out of 2,000 people on this violence space, God has not drank tea with none of us? He has not found us worthy of drinking tea? But he drank tea with Enoch. Makano, he was born by Immaculate Conception. Namumu, they believe Nigerian GOs. I yield.
Thank you very much, my brother. Honestly, just energy well now. Real mumu they believe in Nigerian Jews. So hopefully, at the end of today's space, many people's eyes will be open to understand that these people are just normal human beings like me and you that have used the system that we are in to benefit themselves and their families, becoming so wealthy and untouchable. Let's keep the conversation rolling. I think Wealthy in Nigeria can come in right now. Then we'll open up the space. Thank you guys for your patience. I think today's space will go.
Saddam, please, I'll send you a list. Um, 15 of the wealthiest Nigerian pastors and their net worth. It's a 1 minute submission. Can I wrap that up, please?
You
Or is
can.
that okay?
Yeah, go on.
All right. So it is so bad, like that thing you said that what's his name says that you don't know the pastors of any other country, but in the Nigerian pastors are all over Google. The top 14 richest
Uh,
pastors.
Sisu, sorry, before you go ahead, please
Yes, sir.
everyone check on the jumbo throne. Apparently, there was a pastor that was bothered about the life of Nigerians. He now went to God. He prayed on one rock like that. He prayed to God, and God sent him master keys of David. God sent a lot. God even spoke to him. The video is on jumbo throne. God told him, "You go now, go hear God's voice." May na go
Never
watch.
forget, the
Mhm.
Psychiatric Association of Nigeria says more than 60 million Nigerians suffer from mental illness. That is fact. So let me
Carry on.
just wrap this up. Let me just wrap this up very quickly. The 14 richest pastors in Nigeria. Number one, Bishop David Oyedepo. His net worth on Forbes is, as at 2011, was 150 million United States dollars. Number two, Pastor Enoch Adejara Adeboye. His net worth, as at now, is definitely in at least over $1 billion United States dollars. Forbes estimated number three, Pastor Chris Oyakilome, as at 2011 at 30 million and $50 million. As at 2011. Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo, another pastor that used Lambert himself into oblivion, $10 million as at 2011. I know I'm telling you this. I don't. They have so shrouded their latest figures, but when they were really in their prosperity groove, they were coming out and saying it. Bishop Ayodele Orise Jaffo, in July of 2010, as at then he was worth about uh, $15 million. Pastor Chris Okotie was worth about $10 million in 2011. He also owned a Rolls Royce and a private jet. Pastor Benga Osho, the founder of Laughter Foundation Church, little known pastor, but a millionaire in dollars. Pastor Lazarus Moka is one of the top richest pastors in Nigeria, but I don't get how he is so rich, but somehow he pushes poverty. Makes no sense. Pastor Bishop Mike Okonkwo from Anambra State, another millionaire in dollars. Pastor Joshua Iginla, has an 80,000 seat auditorium in Kubwa, Abuja, but he doesn't have an 80,000 man employing business, but he has an 80,000 seat auditorium in Abuja. Pastor Iginla in 2019 celebrated his birthday with a new private jet valued at about $25 million. Pastor Chinyere Chibuzo, the pastor of Omega Power Ministries, you've seen his issue with the boys that came out and also the young lady that came out and accused him of rape and impregnating her. Dr. Daniel Olukoya of the Mountain of Fire and Miracles Ministry, another poverty pusher. You can call it anything you want. Olukoya encourages poverty. Pastor Wole Oladiyun, another one. Pastor Joseph Agboli. It is so sad. Pastor Kumuyi is also here. He was worth about $10 million as far back as 2016. We cannot continue like this, Nigeria. I yield.
The net worth of all these people put together and our budget of Nigeria, net worth of all these pastors, just see how much $1 million, as in millions of dollars.
Since they this was when they were still in the business of churching. Since they diversified their portfolio into oil and gas, political dealings, universities, schools, and actual outright business ventures via selling of armbands, selling of bro, they can right now all their accounts are shrouded in mystery. Anybody giving you the net worth of a Nigerian pastor is giving you an estimate. These people are worth billions of dollars. For what, Saddam? For what?
Well,
And there's so much poverty in the land, and they will not even tell people go and get your PVCs. Forget Peter Obi, just get your PVCs.
it's crazy. It's crazy how it's crazy where we are right now. So my own painful the painful part
Saddam,
I'll
I'll
do
send
for
you
me.
something. For the Muslims, do you remember, Saddam, when there was an imam called Imam Nuhu Khalid of the Abuja Central Mosque that spoke out against Buhari and terrorist attacks in the north, and he was removed immediately? Do you remember that story in 2020, 2021? Do you
It
remember
was last year.
Imam Nuhu Khalid? I'll send you the video of what he preached that caused problem. He spoke truth to power, and he was removed from that position. But our GOs will not speak truth to power because they don't want to be removed. And this guy was the head imam of the biggest mosque in Abuja. I yield.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. I think the major stuff is that most of these pastors are SPVs or politicians. That's the truth. They are mainly because when you see if you have an account as a pastor, as an NGO, there's no amount of money that cannot pass through your account because nobody. I can easily raise 1 billion in my account as a pastor, and they ask where do you get this money from? Tithes, offerings. Who gave you offering? I don't know. It's so there are links. These guys are links to governors, links
When
to
the hush puppy, they
politicians,
buy generator
and the
for
rest.
mosque.
You understand? It's crazy, bro. It's crazy. But let's open up the floor for that put to come in right now. I think we have held the mic for so long. Well, Nigeria, okay, well, Nigeria will go next then. But please, guys, before then, before opening up the floor, as usual in our usual fashion, we are trending the hypocrisy of Nigerian religious leaders as a hashtag. If you can, please make not if you can, please, everyone on the platform. We have over 1,007 of us already. Please let us make tweets with the hypocrisy. While making that tweet, it is important you can also just highlight what you have seen, what you have witnessed, what you notice about the hypocrisy of the Nigerian religious leaders. It is important we make this discussion get to the front burner so that many of them and their members that they have held in captivity for so long. It's just the same way that you see people support APC and you wonder why supporting APC. It's the same way some of you are supporting pastors. And I'm asking, why are you supporting these pastors? They have led you astray. They have made billions. They have empowered their families are not passing through what you're passing through. All they tell you to do is pray. Why didn't they allow their children to stay back in Nigeria and pray? No, they will send their children to the best of schools abroad. Children are not even going to their own universities. Their children are not passing through the system you're passing through. They're not even using the money they get from you to build companies that can employ you.
Somebody put a tweet on the timeline that the Nigerian university system is made to just waste your time because they have no jobs for you. So you're just in school wasting time because most of these degrees can be done in 3 years to everywhere else in the world. And it made a lot of sense, Adam.
Even if it's been done even if it's been, let's say it's done in 4 years, let's give them their time. Where are the jobs? Where are the factories? When we have more churches than factories, what do you expect? We have more mosques than factories. It is crazy where we are as a country. And honestly speaking, if we don't begin to speak up,
Somebody reminded me of Saddam. Do you remember Reverend King that is currently in Kirikiri that burnt his adherents to death?
yeah,
That burnt one of his. Do you remember
I
Reverend
think
King?
that's the in Port Harcourt, Abi, not Port Harcourt also. It's their case plenty. It's just that,
It was in Lagos at Jawe
uh,
Estate, Reverend King that had baby
yeah,
that burnt his this thing.
and his supporters with today's still tell you they will still support him. He will still have people that tell that what he did it is
Oh yeah, he's from Umuchu till today. The church is still
you
standing
see.
till today.
Well,
Till today, he's from a neighboring village. Till today, Saddam.
it's crazy, my brother. Well, in Nigeria, you have the space right now. Good evening, my bro. Welcome.
Somebody has to speak. And if I am the one to speak, I will speak. I'll tell the truth. I fear no man but God. I just want to do truth. I like truth. I have noticed that Nigerians, we have moved on politically. We have moved on. We have accepted what has become. On one side of our mouth, we say we did not want Muslim ticket. We shouted it, oh, we jumped, oh, we said everything. We don't want Muslim ticket. And then on another side of our mouth, we have accepted it and we are going on. So I came to say, no, we can't accept it. This government is still Muslim. And so some of you have just collected it. You are even happy to be, you are wishing that somebody you know will be made ministers. Ministers over illegality. Ministers over illegality. You saw how these people became, they won, quote and unquote. They didn't win. You saw how, why do the thing was being tallied? They had announced, and they said, go to court. So we are in court. Why have you passed? Why have you stopped saying the same thing? Why are we not standing and saying, contrary to evidence, we will stand. Contrary to what is being done, we stand on what we believe. The prophecy was that there will be a new Nigeria. Is there a new Nigeria now? Is there a new Nigeria now? Is what we are seeing what we prayed for? No, this is not what we ordered for. The fact that you have stopped praying amazes me. The fact that you have stopped confessing amazes me. Abraham believed to the end. Even as his body was dying, he believed. So they have brought up ministers, they are doing. I still don't believe. I refuse to accept it. I will not accept it. Because that is not what we prayed for. That is not what they promised us. They promised that the result was going to be done a certain way. It came out a certain way. And Christians have accepted it. They are clapping. They are going on as if it's okay. If Muslim ticket was wrong yesterday, it cannot be wrong. It cannot be right today. It will not be right tomorrow. He said, but Pastor, we're afraid. Afraid of what is our country? Everybody has a right to live here. It's our country. This madness must stop. What is this? The same old people. Look at the ministers. And we are okay with it as long as one of our person is there. It's not about one of our person. It's the fact that right must be right. We must do the right thing. This kind of governance cannot continue. So we stand rejecting this government. We reject it. We reject the Muslim government. We reject it. I reject it. Mutuatum, the death is one. What is this? I'm surprised that Christians have accepted this. We're going on. I don't see resistance. I don't see you saying, no, we reject this. And everybody is quiet. So I refuse to be quiet. I refuse to be quiet. This is wrong. It was wrong yesterday to be wrong tomorrow, as long as it's Muslim ticket. You know, the politicians have studied us. They know us. They will just make noise. They will just make noise. After a while, they will accept it. If we just, I'm sure they're telling us themselves, let's just hold on. Let's just hold on. They will give up. I pray that this generation doesn't give up. We must not accept this. Don't tell me that they won. What did they win? How did they win? There was no winning. They took it, they grabbed it, and they ran with it. And when somebody takes it and runs, you run after it and collect it. What is that? They took it, they grabbed it, we will collect it back. You say, Pastor, what can we do? We can pray every day. Every day I put my knees on the ground and I say, Father, this government, we reject it. He said, that's never been done. There's always a beginning. There's nothing God cannot do. There's nothing prayer will not change. Our God is a God of justice. I was hoping that Christians would be up and praying for the judges and keep saying the same thing. I wonder how many people are praying. That's how we keep accepting it. But in our lifetime, in my lifetime, I will see a new Nigeria. I will see a better Africa. One of the African leaders went for a meeting. He was asking,
All right. So, good evening.
Well meaning. God bless you. I love the way you started. Guys, if you remember my submission, I mentioned the foundation at which I will start my submission. Right and wrong. Remember, right and wrong. And this one is talking about prayer. And the reason why I endorse this is simply because we've done what we're meant to do. It's not as if we didn't go to court and we're still hoping. We've gone to court and now we're backing it up with prayer. Prayer can come with, when we've done our effort, we leave it to God, but not the other way around. Thank you, my brother. God bless you. Back to you.
Yeah, all right. Thank you very much, Jimmy. So good evening, everybody. Good evening, Emir Saddam, N6, that N6 we don't hear about. Jimmy, Mommy Bolanle. Good evening, like everybody. So I chose to come from just to create that balance that Jimmy was talking about, and I think Saddam mentioned it earlier as well. And the truth is, so that video I played was basically bulk of my submission. Like Saddam said, I know we've spent so much time. There are very few. I think the problem here is that there are very few. There are very few men of God or pastors or religious leaders that speak for the truth, at least openly, because the current position we are in Nigeria now. So I think for me, it's the major concern is the current position we are in Nigeria now. We are in a place where everybody needs to add their voice in one way or the other. So that was a certain, and it's why I said I say it a lot of time. I really wish there was a way we could leave everything, this movement and Nigeria in the hands of women. Kudos to the women of Nigeria. What women do in this country, I feel like if the position that we've given men in Nigeria, that percentage we're giving to women over time, Nigeria will really be a better place. I think, and thank God I'm a man. I say, so no one will say is a gender. Don't say, you can't say I'm being gender biased. And I'm being honest. I'm being serious about what I'm saying. I think men have been a problem in this country. So that was Pastor Sarah Omaku of, I think they call them Abuja Family Worship Center. She has a church in Abuja. She's not a cut and a pastor, so you don't think maybe she doesn't have anything to lose or something. Believe me, she's not a cut and a pastor. I think I'm not so sure